The woman was devastated by her husband's betrayal and was ready to leave this cold world behind. But just as she stepped onto the rooftop, she heard the baby inside her say, "Mom, you can't die. Give birth to me first, and I'll deal with those two for you." The woman had no idea that the baby inside her was actually her best friend, who had died 3 years earlier. It turned out that the woman and her best friend had grown up together in an orphanage and had always been as close as sisters. 3 years earlier, the woman's biological parents had finally found her, and overnight, she became the daughter of the richest family in the city. However, on her very first night back home, she was kidnapped by a group of criminals. To save the woman, her best friend pretended to be her and lured the pursuing kidnappers away. In the end, the kidnappers took her life and abandoned her in a remote area. The woman tearfully begged her parents to avenge her best friend, but because the killers were never found, nothing ever came of the case. What she did not know was that the people who had planned everything were the family's adopted daughter and her own fiancé. To honor the best friend who had died for her, the woman visited her grave at the exact same time every year to pay her respects. Later, after being repeatedly urged by her family, she married her fiancé. But it was not until the woman became pregnant that her husband and adopted sister finally revealed their true colors. They deliberately shoved her from behind, causing the baby's heartbeat to stop. This was because the adopted sister was also pregnant with his child. She would never allow the woman's baby to become the heir to the family fortune. Heartbroken and completely hopeless, the woman prepared to end her life by jumping from the building. But just then, she suddenly heard her best friend's voice. The woman thought that missing her best friend so much had caused her to hallucinate. Just then, the baby inside her spoke again and said, "I was reincarnated as your baby so I could come back to you. If you die now, I'll be in serious trouble. Not only will I have to return to the underworld to pay off my debts, but there'll also be no one left to honor me." The baby then said the secret phrase that only the woman and her best friend had ever known. Only then did the woman realize in shock that her best friend had really returned, but her face was still filled with worry. Her in-laws favored boys over girls, so after learning that she was carrying a girl, they encouraged their son to get involved with the woman's adopted sister, hoping she would give them a grandson. But her best friend told her not to worry. She said she had already taken out a loan in the underworld and spent a fortune to make sure she came back as a boy. Her plan was to make those two suffer and get revenge on the woman's behalf. Just then, the woman's husband arrived. He immediately dragged her to the hospital, intending to force her to undergo a procedure to terminate the pregnancy. The adopted sister pretended to be innocent, claiming that the woman had tried to hurt her first and had accidentally bumped into the corner of the table herself. She then shamelessly said that they were sisters after all, so she would never blame her older sister. The best friend inside the woman's belly could not stand listening to her anymore and told the woman to hit her. The woman did exactly as she was told and immediately gave her adopted sister a beating. She then exposed her in front of everyone and revealed that the adopted sister was the one who had actually pushed her down. Seeing this, the husband quickly defended the adopted sister. He angrily accused the woman of being so vicious that losing her baby was entirely her own fault and no one else was to blame. He even said that heaven had punished her and that she deserved it. Hearing this, the best friend became furious. She started throwing punches inside the womb, trying to teach the woman's husband a lesson. Unexpectedly, this caused the woman to have a violent reaction, and she suddenly vomited all over both of them. When the doctor saw what had happened, he immediately examined her again. To everyone's surprise, not only had the baby's heartbeat returned, but the baby's gender had also changed, and she was now carrying a boy. Both the husband and the adopted sister were shocked when they heard the result. At that moment, the woman's father-in-law and mother-in-law arrived. When they heard the news, they were overjoyed. They immediately rushed over and began fussing over the woman, asking whether she was feeling all right. They also announced in front of everyone that the woman was the family's true heiress and that only her child would be eligible to inherit the family empire. The adopted sister tried to pretend that her stomach hurt so she could win the older couple's attention. However,